First thing to recognize is each box in the display set out of 3 has a white card on it that labels it as 1 of 3, 2 of 3, or 3 of 3. This is important
The first
to know which
step
one you're working with.
Is to unpack the material. You need to take the time in unpacking, get all the material out, and do everything one step at a time. Make sure you have accountability of everything.
You're going to find that there is a lot of different packing material in here, as well as a package of instructions. Simply pull out all the packing material as you get to the components of the display. These boxes are used, those long boxes are used to protect those lights that are at the end of the light, at the end of the bar. Pull it out using both hands. These are the legs that support the frame. Again, when you pull the frame out, make sure you use both hands to pull it out, as the corners are a little bit vulnerable to damage. So you notice there is another large piece of cardboard that separates the two halves of the frames. Between them is more packing material. Simply pull it all out, set it aside. There's a box that has all the components: the power cord, the multi-plug cord. There's your power cord. Each panel, each box has all these components. A key, and lastly there is a frame bar which supports it. It goes in the middle. We'll see where that goes later. Continue unpacking. We'll see the actual cloth panels that will go on the display that make up the outside of the display. They have the images on it. Pull them out of the bag, and as you can see, the last part of the frame is there as well. So now we're ready to take out the last part of the frame. This is another box put in there to protect those light diodes at the bottom of the frame. Make sure you pull this up with both hands to protect the corners. So now we have the top and the bottom of the frame, and all the components are out. Each unit will have each one of these components, the only exception being the multi-plug cord. There's only one of those. But each unit has its own power cord, its own legs, frame, crossbar, and tool. Here you can see the crossbar, the tool, and the power supply cable. Again, each box has all these components, plus the two panels, the cloth panels that you've seen earlier. So now we're going to attach the leg assembly. You see there's two screws that hold a rail right here, and this rail is going to ride up on a channel on the side of the frame, just like so. As you can see, there's a channel. This is a channel, and the rail will simply slide up that channel, let it go down, and we'll tighten it, and then we'll use the tool to tighten it down snug. And we do the same thing on the opposite side. the screwdriver hex tool is used to tighten the screws all the way. This completes the assembly of the legs. You notice this is the power cord where you connect the power supply. Also, these are the diode light, the LED lights, which you want to be careful of all through the process of setup, as well as when you're packing it and putting it away. So now we will attach the top frame to the bottom frame. You notice it says top up at the top. We are simply going to pick up the frame very carefully, place it on top of the bottom frame. You see the metal peg sticking up there, and it will slide into a slot. There's a push pin that we will push on that will allow it to slide on down onto those rails. As you can see here, I am pushing the push pin. You got to be careful, don't get your fingers pinched. Push it in and let it slide down. At this point, it's on there. So we're now going to put the power cable up into the channel going up. You'll notice there was a gap down there. Here's where it connects up at the top. You notice there is a male end and a female end. Look at the other side. You'll see that the other end at the top is another male end. So you cannot hook these together wrong. You cannot go together. You need to make sure you have a male end and a female end. You see a hole where it goes in, just simply click it together. This is important in order to make sure that you have the top oriented correctly, because you can put the top on backwards. Check your connectors to see which way it goes on. Male to female, not male to male. We're putting it into the channel, locking it all in tight just by So we have the crossbar and the tool. You see there's a gap there. We have enough slack in the cable to be able to put that crossbar right in there. Slide that over. Slide the other one over. And then use the tool to turn it clockwise to tighten it. You do that, you'll feel it, it'll go in nice and snug. This is why it's important right here is to have that gap between the two power cable channels. Tighten the other side and then you're good. Now it's time to tighten down all 4 of the bolts that hold the bottom half of the frame to the top half of the frame. So now we're going to check the lights. As you can see, the lights are down here. I have the power cord, the lights up above as well. We want to do this before we put the panels on, although we have one panel on here already. But we just need to do it before we put them both on. Plug in the power supply to the cord coming from the lights, and then plug the power supply into the wall, and as you can see, the lights work. You want to make sure you do this before. Recheck your connections if there's any problems with the lights not working. It is probably the connection. This includes checking to make sure the wires in the back of each plug are pushed all the way into the back of the plug. Sometimes those wires can work their way a little loose. So now we'll talk about putting the panels on. There's channels all the way around this frame, all 4 sides. There's an outside channel and an inside channel. The outside channel is where this hard plastic edge of the panels goes in. starting in the top corner, tuck it in into the outside channel or groove, and tuck it across the top, making sure you're snug to the corner with the top and the edge piece, all the way snug to the corner. Then I'm going to put it in all the way across the top, tucking it, pushing it into the channel while tugging on it with my right hand, just to make sure it stays nice and taut and I don't end up short at the other end. Do the same thing going down both sides and across the bottom. So I'm going to attach a panel now, just in real time. I'll speed it up here, but before we sign off, I want you to be aware this completes one segment of the 3 panels that you will need to build. Pay attention to the flag at the bottom to know which part you're building. For instance, this has the larger end of the flag, the left side of the flag, and so I know this is the left side of the 3 pieces. In the instructions, there's clear instructions on exactly how the 3 are to be placed. There's pictures and images. Just remember that you have the best way to tell, other than looking at the pictures that are packed with the material in the envelope, is to look at the flag at the bottom part of the screen. You'll notice that it gets smaller. The second panel is smaller than the first panel on the left, and the last panel, the far right panel, is the smallest. So as you recall, I was talking about the flag size. You can see here the flag is very small, so that's a right end. And here the flag is large, so that's the left end. Here it is, setup complete. This completes the setup instructions. You're going to do this exact same process 3 times. Remember, all the components are the same in all 3, just the cloth panels are different. Obviously, if you have any concerns or any problems with your setup, feel free to call Eileen Hurst or your point of contact for further instructions.